What is up, Critics? In this video, I'll be talking about this week's Double Money Event Week as well as the property and vehicle discounts. So in terms of changes for this week, the weaponized dinghy is now officially available for purchase from the Warstock website. It costs $1.85 million and sadly has no customization, as with all boats in this update, which is very unfortunate. But anyways, this event week is from February 25th through March 3rd, 2021. The current casino podium vehicle is the Vapid FMJ. This vehicle is primarily based on the 2017 Ford GT with the front end of the Aston Martin Vulcan, although the majority of the car is pretty much based on the Ford GT. It released about 5 years ago with a Further Adventures in Finance and Felony update and normally costs about $1.75 million. This car is in the supercar class and has good customization. We do have to keep in mind how old this vehicle is though. It's not even close to the pace of the older supercars. It used to be decent on some races that were flat back in 2016 against the T20 and the Osiris, but those were still faster on most tracks even back then. But anyways, for those of you who originally paid full price for the FMJ and are not happy about it being on the podium, you still take the one you originally purchased and sell it for roughly $1.2 million depending on your upgrades and how much you paid for it originally. So, is the FMJ worth attempting to win by spinning the lucky wheel over and over this week? Honestly, this car is very fun to drive, has decent customization, and is decently fast as well, with great handling on some flat surfaces, but again, nowhere near as fast as the top supercars currently. But at a normal price of over $1.7 million, I think it's definitely worth spinning the wheel this week for it if you want to expand your supercar collection. So starting off with the property discounts, we have 60% off the CEO offices as well as the upgrades and renovations for them as well. And we also have 50% off the CEO office garage floors, which are my personal favorite garages in the entire game. For those of you who don't own a CEO office, make sure you buy one this week. It is essential for most of the businesses in game. Next up, we have 50% off the casino penthouse garage, the arcade garage, the nightclub garages, the arena workshop garages, the MOC personal vehicle storage bay, and all of the normal garages on the Dynasty 8 website as well. So for those of you who want to get more space for your cars, now is definitely a great time to buy some extra properties and storage. Moving along, we have 50% off the special cargo warehouses for the CEO crates. These are normally way overpriced in my opinion, and at about 50% off, they're a lot more worth it. And lastly, we have 25% off the special vehicle warehouses. Moving on to the vehicle discounts, we have 40% off the Furia. This car is in the supercar class and is pretty unique as it's currently the only vehicle in GTA Online that has the dihedral synchro helix doors from the Koenigsegg, which is just awesome the way those doors open. But other than that, its performance isn't really all that great in comparison to the top supercars. Next up, we have 40% off the S80RR. So this car is in the supercar class as well, and currently has the best handling in the supercar class in my opinion. Now on some corner intensive tracks, it can compete very closely with the Emirates and the Krieger, but overall the Emirates and Krieger are better for most tracks. But at this price, this is actually a pretty good deal in my opinion, but it's not really all that necessary to own if you already own the Emirates and Krieger. Moving along, we have 40% off the GP1. So if you want to own a car in GTA Online that is full of detail, with tons of customization, an exclusive interior very close to its real life counterpart, and an overall awesome driving experience, the GP1 is just an amazing car to own as a car collector in GTA Online, but obviously it's not very quick in comparison to most of the top supercars in the class. Next up, we have 40% off the Zentorno, which used to be the best overall supercar of choice back in 2014. Almost everyone owned one of these back then. Now, obviously in 2021, a lot has changed, but if you're fairly new to the game and don't really own any supercars, this is a great one to start with. And lastly, we have 40% off the Adder. I honestly can't remember the last time the Adder was on sale. This obviously was the OG GTA supercar that used to be the fastest in a straight line back in the day, but obviously that has definitely changed over the past 7 years. We've gotten tons and tons of supercars added into the game, But at about 600,000, I think this is actually a pretty decent deal in my opinion, especially for those of you who want to buy it for the nostalgia and memories you possibly had with it back in 2013. Everybody used to paint them in chrome, put crazy wheels on them. Definitely some interesting times back then. Keep in mind that it pretty much has no customization, but I'm sure most of you know that already. Moving on to the Warstock website, you can continue to get 100% off the Varus ATV from last week, making it absolutely free. It has decent customization, and honestly not worth it in my opinion if you had to pay for it, but since it's free, I guess it's something to buy and mess around with if you're bored. And that's it for vehicle discounts. Only 6 normal vehicle discounts and no new Warstock website discounts, which is pretty unfortunate. In terms of free items, all drinks are free at bars this week, which is pretty cool, as well as the Casino Penthouse Members Party that normally costs about $20,000. That's also free for this week. I'm not sure how many of you have actually used that, but I guess if you haven't, now for free you can try it. In terms of double money, we have double money NRP on all normal stunt races, which is pretty cool. In my opinion, they should have made it triple money for the stunt races, but double isn't too bad. Next up, we have double money NRP on the Sumo Remix and the regular Sumo Adversary modes, which is awesome. Moving along, we have double money NRP on the Simian Contact missions, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have double money NRP on DJ missions as well. So for those of you who haven't done them yet, you can get double money while doing them. And lastly, the best for last, we have double money NRP on CEO crates, which is just amazing. So for those of you who have a bunch of crates saved up, ready to sell, now is the time to cash out millions. A full large warehouse with 111 crates can sell for about $2.2 million. And during double money, that's about $4.4 million. And remember guys, you can up to 5 warehouses. So if we multiply that times 5, we have 555 crates, which totals over $22 million from selling 5 full warehouses during double money this week, which is just insane. Plus on top of that, if you sell in public sessions, you'll get extra bonuses. So you can make ridiculous amounts of money this week, especially for those of you who have the crates saved up from before. So keep in mind guys that it's very time consuming to source crates depending on the mission you get. So that's why I always recommend filling up your warehouses weeks or months in advance, sourcing them little by little and taking your time, and then waiting to sell them during a double money opportunity like this week for example. Moving on to the Prime Gaming discounts for Prime Gaming members only. I will leave instructions in the pinned comment on how to become a Prime Gaming member if you aren't one already. So we have the same ones as last week, which is 80% off the Wagner. So this car is in the supercar class and is usually the car I recommend to most people in terms of value. And at this price, this is an absolute steal in my opinion if you want to have a very competitive supercar. For those of you who don't have any competitive supercars or are newer to the game, this is one I highly recommend. Next up, we have 70% off the Rocket Voltic. Now the Rocket Voltic was a cool vehicle when it released, but there are much better vehicles like the Scramjet or the Toreador for example, and even at this price, I still don't really see it being worth it. Plus keep in mind that you also need to own a special vehicle warehouse in order to even buy it. And lastly for Prime Gaming, you will continue to get the Sonar Station upgrade for the Kasaka submarine for free. This upgrade normally costs $1.2 million and getting it for free is pretty awesome. Also don't forget guys, just for logging in this week as a Prime Gaming member, you'll get a free $200,000, which is pretty cool. Again guys, if you don't see the discount on the Wagner or the Rocket Voltic, it's because you don't have your Prime Gaming account linked to your social club. Again, all the information on how to do that is down below in the pinned comment. And lastly, we have of course the Arce Bandito time trial Vespucci Canals. This week's normal time trial is down Chiliad, which is the most difficult and annoying time trial in my opinion. If you're brave enough to do it without breaking your controller in half after raging, I'd recommend using the Patty 801 for that one. But again, I highly recommend staying away from this particular time trial this week. Save yourself the rage, trust me. And this week's premium race is the motorcycle race Boots on the Ground. I highly recommend either the Shotaro or the Hakuchu drag for this race. Every Friday I post a guide on how to easily beat the time trials and premium race, so stay tuned for that if you're new, especially if you want to see me beat that annoying time trial after like 50 attempts, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, guys, hope this was helpful. Overall, this event week is pretty good in terms of double money. I think we got a nice variety, and the property discounts are very good as well. But in terms of the vehicle discounts, I think a couple extra on the Warstock website would have been nice and kind of balanced it out a bit. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good overall event week. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.